Hi there, this is Gary McDougall here, and what I wanted to talk about today is synchronicity, following the flow of life and following the flow of your heart, and yeah, just going with the flow and keeping creativity going and keeping your spirit alive. Um, I guess I want to start. I'm shooting the video out today. I'm shooting it in our garden because there's some creative projects we've been working on. I kind of want to talk about creativity a little bit today. You see in the background there, I got a kids fort, and that kids fort, we built that recently for my kids. They've been bugging me. We were given this slide. You can see that little slide there. We were given that slide a couple of years ago. A neighbor threw it over the fence, and they had a couple. And yeah, so yeah, so they gave us a slide, and my kid's been bugging me like, build this fort, build this fort. We are kind of struggling with money for a little bit, and so finally I just called forth and like, I want to build this slide. I want to build a fort. I want to build a fort for the slide, and something fun for the kids, keep them happy, keep me entertained, creativity wise, and yeah, just something fun for them. So talking to neighbors about building this fort, and somebody gave me the idea for working with pallets. So I found some pallets, and you can kind of see, let's see if you can see it here, kind of threw this fort together with some pallets on the bottom. And I was telling my neighbor about it, and one of my neighbors is a home builder. So what he suggested is getting some wood. The siding there was made from rough sawn lumber that he used for the foundation for this house he was building. So he took me up there, grabbed a bunch of wood, and we built that. So I guess I just want to say, when you're going through a transition in life, or you're feeling a little bit bored, or you don't feel alive, it's like we can awaken our souls, just by putting it out there that we want to do a project, or we want to keep alive doing stuff. And things don't have to cost a lot of money. They can, like that fort. My kids really wanted a fort from Costco, and it cost like $1,000, and they really wanted that one. So I wanted to build this one to look just like that fort from Costco, and it cost me, I think the screws cost me like $4.96. So that fort cost me about $5, and so so yeah, you can, if you're going through transition in life, or you're not feeling alive, you can call forth that life, call forth that creativity, and you can stay busy doing fun things until you maybe turn the professional stuff around, where you start making money, and yeah, so making things for fun is or making things for cheap is fun. And yeah, so we made a bunch of things. We got a garden on the other side of me. I'm going to show you in a second, but also there's this fence back here, and this is where I wanted to get into with creativity and synchronicity, following synchronicity. That fence fell down a couple of years ago, and it fell down, and so I got talking to my neighbor, and we were just chatting about fixing the fence, and we got talking about our life story a little bit, and I was telling him that I moved here 20 years ago and I lived on Fort Street. He's like, oh yeah, you lived on Fort Street, where'd you live? And I told him the address. He's like, I used to own that house. And I went really cold. And I went cold because I was really embarrassed. I was embarrassed because he was my landlord. So he was my first landlord when I moved here, and I was a mess back then, like drinking and drugs, and me and my friend from Nova Scotia, we were couch surfing at the time at these girls' house that were also from Nova Scotia, and we knew them. But he was kicking us out, and it was New Year's 1995, and he wanted to kick us out of the house because we didn't belong there. That place was only supposed to be occupied by two people, and we were couch surfing. And I remember my friend was telling him off at the time, so I got to apologize to him, which was cool. But also I was grieving at the time because that friend, and here's synchronicity, that friend had just passed away. He had taken his life, and his body had just been found, and I was sad. I was going through sadness. So I got talking to that about him, and that was kind of healing. So there's a lot of synchronicity there, and it was amazing how, I was kind of going through a time in my life where I was making a lot of money, but I was bored, and praying for life and health, and I just wanted to feel alive again, and so all the synchronicity was happening. It was like my prayers were being answered, and so shortly after, what happened was that friend who had passed away. I've been praying about going through the grieving process and feeling sad and feeling anger and wondering, like, what was I doing with my life? Was I really alive? And I wanted to feel alive. I've been on a spiritual path and doing yoga and meditation, but I wasn't feeling alive. So I was missing something. And that old friend, he'd come to me in a dream, and he kind of gave me a hug, and he said he was okay now. So I think when people pass away, some people take their life, and they go to a better place. Like I genuinely felt like he was in a better place, and that really put me at peace. So I was at peace, but still not at peace with my work. So just calling forth, like, what was I going to do? What was that new thing? And I was afraid to do something new, but I knew like if I followed my heart, like we all have the power within us to create and to do something amazing. And so I was calling that forth, and the message I got was to leave my job, and so I did. But what was I gonna do? Um, I wanted to do something that made me feel alive, something that made me feel like young again, and have the magic back in my life where there's synchronicity. So synchronicity was starting to happen again. So I quit the job, but what was I going to do? So yeah, I just kept praying and kept asking the universe, asking God for signs, asking God for direction. I did some life coaching and took that course, and it was really good because I got to heal and I got into my body, and I learned my life purpose during that course, and my life purpose had something to do with I need to be like a steward of the land. So I want to talk a little bit about that too, and how I want to be a steward of the land is just to speak about how important all living things are, how important life is. And I think what's kind of come up to me or come up for me is, on our land, like we use land as like we live in houses and we consume things. We're like consumers living on land. And what I want to do is I want to turn my land into a place of production. So I'm honoring life, and like I've been a gardener for 10 years, but now what my wife and I are getting into is, instead of gardening like flowers and plants, which look pretty, and I love beautiful things, but garden and plant things that produce things. So turn my land into a place of production. So we got all these fun things for the kids to do, like play parks, and we got like, let's see if we get a little sandbox back there. Sandbox is there, and we created this little table out of this free tree round that we found at a neighbor's place. So it's a fun place for kids, but we also want to grow veggies. So I'm going to show you our little veggie garden here. Let's see if you can see this. You see let's see, there's some corn there. We got squash. We got lettuce. We got all kinds of fruit trees in the background. See, oh, there's a free composter. And there's fruit. There's apples and pears and plums there. Anyway, so that's our little veggie patch. But our front yard just sits there, and there's grass. And I was watching this David Suzuki video or thing on CBC one time, and he talked about how grass is the largest crop in the world, and grass is pretty and green, but to me now I kind of see it as a useless place. So I got like 1,000 square feet of front lawn, and I want to turn that into veggie production. So I want to maybe even get some chickens too. So it's about honoring this land and using this land as and being a person, a human being who uses the land and lives in the land in a good way, in a healthy way that respects all life. And we don't use chemicals. We've gone totally organic and natural. I want to protect my kids and their health, and also the health of all living things like worms and microbes and stuff, which help our plants grow. So that's a part of my purpose in life. So I have to talk about that. So but also helping people to heal. So I'm here to help people like raise their consciousness, raise their awareness of all living things, to talk about these things that might be weird or a little bit out there, that we're like all interconnected on this land, and we all have a purpose. At a soul level, I really believe we all have a purpose, and my purpose is to help people heal, to raise their consciousness, and to raise things like self-worth and stuff, and fears, and put fears aside and just let love and our souls kind of grow and live to the fullest, for the benefit of ourselves, for the benefit of our kids, for the benefit of all living things. So yeah, just going with the flow, and not letting our financial situation get us down, just being creative and being alive and calling forth that life. And in my soul, I know when I'm alive. I feel alive, I feel good, and I'm just being honest with my feelings. And if I'm not alive, I'm just not on my path, and that's okay. It's okay to be right where you're at, but just to be honest with your feelings. And so that's what I'm doing, being honest with my feelings. And I used to be scared to make these videos, and now I'm a little bit more comfortable. So it feels a little bit more comfortable just being myself and putting this stuff out there. So, let's see, a little recap. See if my arm's getting a little bit sore here, and that's cutting off the screen. So we'll go back that way. So just to recap, it's like synchronicity. It's like evoking magic, evoking the miracles of letting angels and guides kind of guide us, and God, and that the Spirit of God and that love just to kind of work through us. And so yeah, I just ask you, like, what are you here for? Like, what are you on the planet? What does your soul want to express through you? What creativity wants to go through you? What makes you feel alive? That's what makes you unique. That's what your soul is different than my soul. It's about your experience. It's about, nobody can tell you what's going to make you feel alive. No book, no nothing, no person, no nothing can tell you what it. The answer for you is in you. You know, that the gold at the end of the rainbow. That gold is in you. So what's going to make you feel alive? And that's something, that's something I stretch with, I meditate with, I think about what in this moment, like, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, but every morning I wake up and I'm like, God, this is a Marianne Williamson thing, but I did this long before I read this or heard Oprah talking about this. It's like, God, use me today. How does your love want to flow through me today? Yeah, and just asking that question, what am I here for? So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today, and something for you to think about, and know that you're worth it, that you are lovable, and the love, and that you have power in you. There's so much power in each and every one of us. It's the power of God. It's the power of soul. That same power that raises the sun, or that same power that flung the stars in the universe, that power is in all of us. So it's like, call forth your power, call forth your creativity. No matter what your situation, no matter how much money you have, start feeling alive, and yeah, call forth your best life. So lots of love to you, and yeah, see you next time.